Good day, everybody. It's Omar Tyree. This is Wednesday, the 12th of February, Black History Month. And I want to apologize for the raw interview that I did this week. And I want to say that in 2024, I put out a book called Control, where this book is all about the frustrations of not being able to have what you want in life in a place like America, where everything is there for you. And so now we become people who want everything, and that includes the men and the women. And I'm around a lot of men right now, including myself, who things don't work right for you, and so you get frustrated. And the frustration turns into conversations about everything that's bothering you, including your relationships with family members, friends, loved ones, the community, everybody. And when you start talking about things that's on your mind, other people don't want to hear about that. You know what I mean? It's like, so that book Control was very important because you're looking at how can I control the things that I'm never going to control? How can I control my own emotions and the things that I say? And so that book was very pivotal in my career last year. But there's just so many books that have come out where you have to discuss the truth. You know, this single mom book that I put out back in 1998, you know, I had a single mother who was helping me to work on the book. And she said, Omar, I can't read this stuff. It's too hard. It's hitting me too heavy. I don't want to read this. And so sometimes when I write books about real issues, you know, I'm not writing books that are about beach reads. I'm writing books that really hit home as far as what we're going through as people. So that was another book, Single Mom, that hit a lot of people in the heart. I had a single mother household until my mom went out and got a father, a husband, you know, that set me straight because I needed it. You know, this book right here, What They Want, we had a whole lot of books that came out that were erotica books in our community, and that's what they were. So I had to respond to that. Everybody had to respond to erotica. And so I had a book called What They Want, where I had to deal with, you know, how much is sexuality overtaking American conversations and in our books. You know, 'cause there's a lot of topics that I wanted to hit that I typically do hit. You know, then I wrote a book called The Last Street Novel, where I talked about this whole street credibility thing that Black people tend to have. You know, we got to be down with the street. And I wrote about that with Capital City and Flyy Girl and, you know, Leslie. And this book here, I was like, yo, dude, like, we're going to keep talking about the hood and the streets and the issues. And so that was getting frustrated, you know, with me being one of the people that started it early on, but you didn't expect it to stay there. And so this book here, The Last Street Novel, out of Harlem, New York, I'm trying to figure out, you know, how do we get out of talking about the street all the time? This book here, Just Say No, was one of the first books. When I first came into the book publishing industry, we had a whole lot of women that were writing books about, you know, bad experiences with Black men. And we didn't have a whole lot of men writing books. So at that time, I felt like, oh, I got to protect the men and write about the good brothers who people tend to ignore. You know, sometimes you get a negative interview and everybody wants to hear about it. Everybody gets excited. Everybody want to see what it is. You do something positive and nobody cares. You don't get the same, you know, support. You don't get the same views. You don't get the same conversations. So I wrote this book, A Do Right Man, way back in the mid-90s when we didn't have books that defended the brothers who were good dudes who don't get a whole lot of love, don't get a whole lot of support. Even when I went on tour for this, you know, sisters like, well, I need a do right man, show me where they at. And I said, they're in church with you, they go to school with you, they're your friends, but you don't look at them as the, you know, romantic mate. So I wrote that book there. There's just so many books that I wrote that are serious content. Just Say No. You start dealing with the masculinity of guys wanting everything again, musicians, you know, athletes. I dealt with that, you know, with individuals, and this is my biggest book. Just Say No is a gigantic book, but in all these books, I have to be honest with it. And to get to the real beef of the issues, you gotta go inside there. So it's not a pretty conversation all the time. And that's where I can get into trouble. You know, speaking the word on what the people are saying, what you heard in the barbershop, what the natural inclination for men is going to be, you know, so you get into those conversations and whatnot. And again, just say no. You know, you got stuff that you naturally do as a human that you get involved in that may not be the best things all the time, but I write about them. This book here, Diary of a Groupie, we went through a stage where, you got a whole lot of people in relationships that aren't relationships built to last. And so you got people that ploy on people, that look for people. I'm going to get with this person, get with that person. And so you had a whole lot of that going on at the time in which I wrote this book, where they're announcing how much money people are making. And that makes you a target for people who want to look at you for money. So I wrote that book. So it's just so many books that I wrote about in the past that are hard issues that I had to tackle. But when you run them out your mouth, people don't have the books to put it in whole context to deal with the topics. This book here, Leslie, Poverty in New Orleans. And when I wrote this book, sisters who were well-established, college-educated sisters, some deltas, AKAs, they were like, why are you still writing about light skin and dark skin issues and black poverty? Now, this book, Leslie, came out in 2002. We had Hurricane Katrina in 2006. So we still had poverty, light skin and black or dark skin issues in New Orleans. I love New Orleans. This is one of my favorite books. But I got to deal with the issue. We still have the issue of poverty. We still have the issue of colorism, is what the young people call them now. But when I put this book out in 2002, I had people that didn't want to talk about the light skin and the dark skin and the poverty in the black community. But as a writer who's going to take up the hard subjects, I was willing to do that. And so I've been doing that again and again and again. But, when you get to the end of it, you got to end up figuring out how you can control your own emotions with all the topics that you've written about that are hotbed topics for the community. And the relationships between black men and women are one of those topics right now where, you got the men saying this. They don't say it to women. They say it to other men. Then we got women saying everything right now. It's their era. And I happen to write books that women love for the love of money when we start making our own business decisions. And then Boss Lady, that's the new world that we're in now. Even me, I got to understand that women have a lot of power and you got to recognize, what I mean? Like it's always been the case. My mom had money and power, but when you develop as a man, now you got that situation where you're saying, okay, how do I fit in this new world? And so a whole lot of that is coming into play and you got to deal with all of it. And so we really need a new book from a new writer to do some new things. I'm old in the teeth now, so you get a young person that's more optimistic and has less of that anguish on them from so many years of battling many different battles. I would have loved to have done movies years ago, and you can't get movies done because you don't have the capital. You would love to get on certain shows, and you can't get on certain shows because you don't have, the popularity to get on certain shows. So there's a lot of pushback that everybody has in life that can create frustration. And then those frustrations have you saying things that, you have to apologize for. But I've been writing a lot of books to deal with the issues of the black community, and I've always been honest about those issues. And sometimes they're not going to be things that you want to hear, but we figure out a way to deal with them and have a discourse on it. And so that'd be a lovely situation for us to talk about these issues. Instead of men over here, women over here, we bring all of us together and talk about a lot of things going on in our community for Black History Month. This is Omar Tyree, and thanks for listening.